Good morning, Tartaria, Australia, and autodidactic. Hey, buddy, how are you going?
I'm well. I'm good. I was just checking out my facial hair. What do you reckon? Could I rock on mow?
I heard rumors that if you have a lot of hair on top, you can't grow a lot of hair
Well, I
underneath.
know,
Is that
right? This
true?
is like, yeah, this is 3 or 4 weeks worth. So,
Yeah, yeah. So
but I want
in
to
that,
rock on mow. I've got 6 months left to grow it, I think.
so if you ever shaved your hair off, Campbell, you'd probably like sprout a massive
Grow a beard.
like
Wow.
Gandalf beard. That could be a cool like reset
Yeah,
moment in your life.
bald, yeah, man. The bald head, big beard look. I could rock that.
All right. Well, look, geez, it's been a long time since we got up here and did a podcast. I think we've been traversing the globe, or I shouldn't say globe.
Ah, the realm.
Boom, boom. Uh,
Uh,
we've been traversing the realm, the nice big flat realm of ours. And we've been back in Australia. I have been back for about 3 weeks now, but extremely, extremely hectic. And you got back.
no, you've been back for more than 3 weeks.
Has
I've
it
been
been more
back.
than 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
geez.
been back for 2 weeks. You must be back for at least a month.
Wow. Well, there you go. I've come back to some massive, exciting projects with Carbonate. We've been working on our first animation, which I fucking love, man.
That's
And
cool. Mm.
we've got a documentary starting, which is such a cool thing to start to work out how to do. This particular one's going to be called, ready, guys, you're going to love this. It's going to be called Vegetable Disclosure. And it's basically going hard on exposing the toxicity of our food chain and the lack of nutrients in our food chain, the ridiculous regulations around the organics industry, the very, very scary move towards synthetic lab-grown meat, eggs, and milk, and basically the destruction of our fresh food section. So I'm hoping that it'll be a big fat punch in the face for every single person who watches it. So I'm pretty excited about that. Side note from
Yeah,
Tartaria,
man.
Australia.
That food printing stuff you showed me, that's scary and so much further along its course than we realize. They're selling it
Yeah.
already.
Oh, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
chuck up some videos now. Watch this.
So how you know this fake chicken?
Because fake chicken, real chicken doesn't pull like this. It's so easy and it's stringy. If y'all can see how stringy it is.
Well, we just got that chicken today.
Right.
So you saying real chicken don't do that? Not supposed to do that?
Yeah, not at this state when you first buying a chicken. Chicken is a muscle and it shouldn't be this easy to pull apart a muscle and squeeze a muscle that strong. And if you can see, it's very like stringy, like you can peel it off as if you cooked it and you pull strips off, but it's uncooked and you're able to rip it apart so easily.
So put that in your hand and squeeze it. So you saying you could take the chicken and just smash it?
Yes.
Mommy, mommy, mommy,
I've seen enough videos of people posting rubbery watermelon. I can't believe I got one. I got a rubbery watermelon. The texture is so weird. Like, you gotta bend it so far before it will break.
They say Aldi Fresh, but their salads contain bioengineered food ingredients. Their bagels contain bioengineered food ingredients. Not so fresh. No artificial flavors, but it contains bioengineered food ingredients. Even the granola bars or fruit bars contains bioengineered food ingredients.
Yeah. I mean, like, you got to check these days everywhere. Like, one of those videos showed you that Aldi products have now got way down the bottom under all the other poisonous E numbers ingredients. This little nice little label that says bioengineered synthetic food ingredients. And these labels are going to start appearing on all your food packets. And as you would have seen, these are fresh food packets, not just, the toxic like industrial foods, but
Yeah,
your
no.
raw salads and coleslaws and
And meat, even like chicken breasts and stuff, like
oh
printed food. Like, well, actually, it's some of it's printed and some of it's lab grown, isn't it? And you sort of
oh
uncovered a very scary little fact about how they do that.
oh the lab grown meat. It's such a, I mean, gosh, we start looking at disclosure from the sort of historical avenue, but when we look at sort of what's happening in the food chain, which if we come to, when I look at this work, I think of all the conspiracy theories and all of the areas where we need and are rallying for disclosure, the food chain is probably at the heart of all of it because that's where our frequencies are matured, developed, evolved. That's where our vibes come from. That's where our good health comes from. But more importantly, that's where our parasites come from. And when we're talking about, this parasitic agenda that's taken over the realm, and we're talking about this like parasitic, group, which we refer to as they, the they pronoun. um, when, we're looking at sort of, what do parasites need to thrive, Campbell? What do they need to thrive? And one of
Well,
the
not a healthy gut, right?
exactly. Yeah. And it's really interesting because when we start to look into the gut biome of the human body, like it's pretty intense. When we look at what sort of environment parasites in our gut would require to thrive, basically the entire Western diet now basically provides that foundation. Our diets, all this industrial chemical food, all these chemicals, all of this stuff that rips holes in our gut lining and all of those things have basically equaled a fantastic breeding ground for parasites,
Mm,
which is
yeah,
so interesting to link to our show.
it is. Yeah. So, well, yeah, that's what we are going to get into is the whole parasite topic and what are parasites, that are inside us? Are they the
Yeah,
same as the parasites that are outside of us? Are they perhaps, the demons, the devils, that actually possess people? Because we know that there's
yeah,
parasites that basically once they get onto a host and get fixed in, they then control the host,
exactly.
even to its own detriment. So is that what's going on with us? Is that maybe what the agenda of the last 4 years was on about? Because you know the masses are a bit weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then, like if you look at how parasites affect the human body, as you just said, that they literally, the brain is developed in your gut, and literally having parasites infiltrate and thrive in your gut actually influences the way you think. And an interesting scientific fact that we went through with carbonate was understanding where the creativity is in your brain, literally your imagination. And it
Mm,
all starts in the gut. Like, no, most people don't even think about this, but your ability to imagine and thus participate in the new dreaming on this realm is deeply impacted by what's going on in your gut. And there are certain parasites in the gut biome that actually will not only deplete, but basically block your use of your imagination. How's that? I mean, it's so much more intricate than we've ever really been educated to understand. Our ability to have a strong and healthy intellect gets impacted by parasites in the gut. Your ability to form and develop compassion gets impacted. If you, as a mother, are carrying a child and you have in your system from basic normal food, not organic food, so normal non-organic food, like if you go into the fresh food, vegetables and that aren't organic, you will be carrying a heavy load of chemical toxicity from agriculture, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc., Roundup, glyphosates. those chemicals actually impact the birth of your child's ability to develop empathy and compassion. How's that? So
That's
we're
crazy, right? Yeah.
what generation are we in now since all this industrial shit started? I mean, like we grew up sort of with the introduction of the industrial food chain, I think, probably that 70s baby, 70s and 80s. That's when the sort of,
Yeah, really started coming in, yeah.
the magical food chain started appearing, like Spam and
Colours and yeah,
colors, E-numbers, roll-ups,
yeah.
Redskins. Redskins. I was very banned from
Redskins,
Redskins.
yeah. Redskins.
I was personally removed from all food that was red because obviously it just enhanced my hyperactivity. But on a very serious note, so we're sort of at like the third, fourth, almost fifth generation. What is it? 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2020s.
Well, a generation's what, 20 years old, isn't it, normally? Is that how they count them? I don't
Maybe
know.
second, third generation.
Yeah,
Of our parents carrying in them unknowingly the chemicals and pesticides and toxicities that were causing massive issues in their gut biome. And we can
Well,
see today.
I was just going to say back in the 60s and 50s, even I think they had like the whole DDT thing, right? And
Mm,
that's they were going hard spraying chemicals.
yeah.
And then I guess they decided at one point, let's just put it in their food as well.
Well, what an amazing long play. That's a long play agenda to like understand if you can completely infiltrate the food chain with poisons and encourage parasites in your gut biome and then also put holes in the walls of your gut lining. So that sort of like infiltrates. We've got a massive issue with weight, obesity on this realm. I mean, I'm feeling fat and old, Campbell. Like, it's just like, it's a thing that seems to impact almost everyone on this realm is weight gain. And one of the main things or culprits for that is leaky gut. And leaky gut comes from wheat. And the
Yeah,
wheat was the very first bioengineered mass substance that has infiltrated the food chain almost like a virus unto itself. Like it's literally in everything, right?
yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
And the reason it's so damaging was because in the 50s and 60s, they took two wheat strands from different continents. They genetically modified them, so they bioengineered them in a lab to form a new strand. That new strand didn't have the chaff on it, so it's easier to get the wheat. But what it did was it increased the level of gluten in the wheat itself, way past our natural ability to process it. And in
Yeah.
doing that, it actually cut holes in the gut lining, which was thus called leaky gut, which then deposited all of that toxicity that our body couldn't process into our fat cells. And hence now we have an issue with weight on this realm. And the
Exactly.
infiltrator,
What is fat, right? They tell us fat's just having too many calories, but what fat cells do is they're actually used to hold bad things that your body doesn't want, that it can't get rid of.
yeah,
So it's all toxins, is what it is. That's what fat cells are holding, and that's all a direct result from the type of food. You
yeah.
know, these bright colors and sugars and wheats and there's so much, right? All the crappy junk food, it's all carbohydrates, right?
Mm.
It's all just based on this wheat, this GMO wheat. So
And
it's
isn't it
yeah.
interesting, Campbell, just on my denunciation of Christianity rant the last three podcasts, which if you haven't checked it out, do it your own at your own risk. Like we were
One of
on
them,
one.
yeah, one
We
of
were
them,
on one.
the best one is on Rumble. I'll leave a link below, but yeah, go check out Autodidactic on Rumble and you'll see it.
Well, look, it was a really fascinating like theory that we were developing there with Christianity being basically the story of our parasitic invaders and the infiltration and the fall of the human bloodline being the metaphor of the sacrifice of the Christ, and then the impregnation of the females was the Virgin Mother being raped, basically, and then that moving forward through this story of our invaders. So it's interesting. It's just interesting to me that, like, if you were to think of any food that you would relate to Christianity, and it would be fucking bread.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bethlehem, where Jesus was born means bread. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah.
Uh, and then your bread is also like bread from, bread in a certain family line, which is
Yes.
interesting, right?
Oh, very interesting as well. So if we were to look at a culprit within our food chain, basically it's wheat. Wheat is probably the biggest culprit we've had to deal with as far as our health goes and
Hmm.
damage to our health, and also creating the perfect breeding ground for parasites.
Yeah. So what are these parasites? Like I mentioned, like there's parasites that can actually take over cognitive control of their host. So is that why they're literally changing, our body environment to make it, more acceptable to these parasites? And they, right? Who really are they? Like we've discussed in, a couple of those videos, if you haven't worked it out, guys, we've been invaded. Trying to work out who they are. Is it Christianity? Is that the story of the invasion? And what are parasites? Why do we call these people instinctively? We call them parasites, right? And so is this what the invaders maybe actually are, parasites, or is this a tool for them?
Mm.
But I mean, I guess the end of the line is we all need to start, sourcing our own food from good places. We know what's going on in the supermarkets apart from the food, right? With all the cashless, all the scanning in, scanning out, cameras everywhere, everything wrapped in food. I mean, everything wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, they're attacking the vegetables and everything as well. But I think until we have a healthy gut, then we can't really absorb any foods properly, can we? So Kelly's having a bit of a cough here.
Yes, 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 yes. I've come. This cough of mine, it lingers. Um, well, I mean, interesting, Campbell. I've been writing a lot on LinkedIn recently on these topics. Very interesting to see how people respond to it. But lab grown meat, people, which has infiltrated Australia, and is a lot of the production is happening from companies here in Australia, startups here in Australia. So yes, it's true. I have got the cough, which does have seem to be traveling and traversing the realm at the moment. Pretty much everyone I know has the cough. Unfortunately, I have a bit of a weakness there, and it's always very dramatic. But ignore me, because I will soldier on until it is solved. Any suggestions? I tell you what, I'm
Yes.
on Claudio Silva, vitamin C, calendula oil. We're on ivermectin, um, all sorts of things. Every sort of herbal application I can think. And I think it's just a matter of time. But
Yeah.
it definitely seems to be one of the things that has come out of the last couple of years is this annoying chest racking cough that's going on. So we will
Yes.
continue.
Do you have a
And
cough too? Let us know how many people have this.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. And if you guys have any actual super excellent cures, put it in the chat. That would be most appreciated for, I'm sure, many more people than myself.
mm. So yeah, there's startups in Australia starting to make this lab grown meat, and there's um two cities or two towns in Australia where they're going to launch it, isn't there?
Oh, look, let me tell you about it because it's so fucking shite. Okay, so lab grown meat, get this, guys, like seriously, is created the same way your body creates cancer. How's that? So the way that they do it is they actually like tamper with the biology so that the cells that they're using have no off switch. So they keep replicating and dividing, and that's how they create synthetic lab grown meat. They replicate it and it divides and it keeps growing, growing, growing until you have this, this mad science version of what meat could be. That is exactly what happens in your body when you have cancer. The cells have no off switch. They keep replicating, dividing, and they create cancer. So how fucking disgusting is that? And that's just one
But
example of a million mutations that they're like basically coming. And literally, Campbell, it would be like all of this bioengineered food is literally like killing an alien,
yeah,
cutting
yeah,
it up, putting it
and
on the
eating it,
barbecue, and just eating it.
yeah,
And,
untested, yeah,
yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. Is your body going to be able to digest this alien? Is it going to make you die? Is it going to make you sick? We don't know. Because as
no,
usual, there's no health studies on any of this, and we are the long-term health study.
Yeah, exactly. We're the lab rats. I mean, does that stuff give you cancer? Has it got the potential to give you cancer if they've changed the cell at its, core, how it works,
Yeah.
and then you put all those cells into your body? Like, it wouldn't surprise me if people start getting big growths everywhere, right?
Oh,
I mean,
it makes pesticides look like icing sugar. I swear to God,
so basically check all your food, read the ingredients, because make sure it doesn't have anything to do with synthetic or anything like that.
But it's a
That's
really interesting conversation as far as Tartaria Australia goes, because like let's just keep on this parasitic agenda avenue. Like we're literally walking, breathing embodiments of this parasitic agenda right now. So if we're looking, and we're not even talking about the jabs, what that has done to your body at all. We don't even know. This is not even that. This is just purely on the food chain. But like if you're looking at this population walking around and how people are emotionally relating to and being able to perceive certain things, you guys would all testify there's a big division now with what people are able to consciously understand, get emotional about, the things that people are actually getting pissed off about. They're very different. It's definitely that two world split seems very obvious here. And has it come down to parasites in the body and parasites actually influencing the thoughts and feelings and literal perceptions of the user?
yeah.
Like
I mean, that we know that they're bioengineering food, plants. We know they've done it with animals.
yeah.
We know they cloned a sheep back in the 90s, like 30 years ago or more. So are they creating parasites, right? Or at least manipulating them genetically to have certain
Oh,
effects on us.
100%. I mean, this is what I do every day at work. I mean, I'm telling you, it's 100%. There is simply no part of our food chain that is an exception to this rule. Even the
Mm.
organics, there's complexions in the organics industry. I mean, that's your best shot. Your best shot is to grow your own, but like secondary, like the organics. But, if you go into that supermarket, apart from the organics, which maybe makes up, I don't know, like 2%, 1% of your supermarket, like the rest is absolutely infiltrated and designed by parasites to enhance parasites in the human body, which is very perfect rationale if we've been invaded by parasites. And if that concept of being infiltrated and impregnated by this parasitic agenda in the Virgin Mother story, like if that is a true idea, then it just makes perfect sense. And, like essentially, when we look at the art world and we look at how Christianity's infiltrated the world and the schools and every elements of everything, and the Christian Crusades are on the march around the realm, if you look at that, that impregnation of the virgin, that raping of the virgin was replicated and has been replicated throughout history ever since. Every war, every dispute, every invasion, it's always centered around raping the women. Now, raping the women, is that just not another extension of raping us when it comes to what we're being forced to put in our bodies? Like, I mean, how are you going to get parasites into the human body to influence the way they're thinking? There's so many movies about this, Campbell.
Oh no, there's
Oh my
so many
God.
movies about this. There's even that I think it's a statue, is it? And it's like armor, a suit of armor, and it's got like a big like worm thing coming out of it, and it's from like the 1500s.
Yeah.
There's heaps of this kind of iconography
So much.
stories, movies. Most of the time they tell us they come from space and stuff, right? But that's a big scam. They're already here.
Mm. They're already here, already here. So I mean that led us to thinking about a few topics, obviously, and I think one of them, and we've had a very interesting experience in the last couple of days, where we've had to face a bully, and we've had to decide to stand up for something that was a wrongdoing, and how we were going to approach that topic. And it's an interesting one because like we've been quite programmed as part of this parasitic agenda. And I'm gonna call it, man.
Yeah,
I feel like it's the Buddhist bullshit.
yeah, 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 yeah. So sit down and meditate and be the light and don't take any physical action or stand up. Just sit there and, something will
Forgive.
save you, right? The universe, the light, God. Forgive everyone for their actions, which is, let everyone get away with what they want. Um, yeah, that's the whole sort of new age as well, right? It's this whole love and light kind of thing. So, we've been, when was the new age? At least what, the 60s, 70s, if not before. It's had 50 years to have an effect. I
Yeah.
haven't seen any of this, peaceful love and light stuff stop the bullies or the parasites yet.
I mean,
So yeah,
it's so interesting. We've been literally programmed to mentally traverse our enslavement and the poisoning of the human race. And the bankruptcy of the human race. We've literally been programmed to accept it and turn the other cheek, to be the better person, to
yeah,
forgive, to love, to be
which
compassionate, to forget, to work on yourself, to take responsibility and do your shadow work, to work on yourself and to support in this loving manner, these poor misguided souls who do so much harm. Like that is the mentality, and that's Buddhist bullshit. Like sit in
mm,
meditation, shut your eyes and focus on emptiness and create nothing.
mm, yeah,
And
man, you got to stand up, right? Like this, it's definitely part of the agenda and the programming. And like, who's the ultimate teacher of that? Of just do nothing is comes back to Jesus. He literally let people kill him
oh,
because
yeah, that's true.
he wouldn't defend
To be
himself. He wouldn't
sacrificed.
do anything.
Be sacrificed.
Yeah, and then sort of, to go along with that, they say, then he rose and went to heaven with God, and now it's all amazing, and put a good spin on it, right? But
That's
he
so
basically just
true.
gave up and let people kill him.
My God, that's so true. I hadn't even thought about that. That's so
Yeah.
true. Like Jesus Christ represents the ultimate sacrifice, that he's literally sacrificed himself for all of your sins, for all of your sins. And he sacrificed himself and he's let himself be crucified on the cross for your sins. What a role model. You've been taught that is a role model, that is a process that you should emanate, that this is a good pathway towards God and love and salvation. It's fucking bullshit.
It is. I mean, just think of, when you're watching a video, right? And, watching someone sitting there meditating is pretty boring, right? But when you watch people standing up, like we all get that feeling inside us, right? We're all like rooting for, like, yes, go for it, get the, and if we're not supposed to stand up, what was the whole last 4 years about? What about all these protests? I mean, this is the thing that all those protests, in my opinion, put this all out there, put out different points of view, and that was the start of the awakening.
Yeah.
People doing something,
Yep.
getting together, getting the same frequencies together in big numbers, and chanting their message and everything. And yeah, I mean, if everyone had just sat down, like some of the agendas at that point were telling us to do, just sit down. Someone else is doing it. They're going to save you. You don't have to do anything. That's just being content with your jail. Like that's literally letting the bullies and the parasites and the people worse than that who want to take your life and use it as they want. It's just letting them win.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. You're taught to, like, the church in itself and all the ways that it's actually manifested on this realm, within the schooling system, within the orphanages, within the monastic systems, within the medical systems and the university systems, and then in the broader community, and then just in churches in general. You're basically taught to be subservient to a whole like line of authoritative figures. Be
Mm,
subservient, repent for your sins, but be subservient. Don't speak out of place. Don't say anything. Like, keep it to yourself. Just repent for your sins. Like, this is like the energetic respect authority. There's always authority over you. Doesn't the church and the schools do so good at that? That there's always authority over you, and that you are taught to respect authority no matter what. And this is like the Christian mentality. But like
mm,
it's spread out now across the broader realm. Whereas I feel like forgiveness has to evolve now. We've got to evolve forgiveness into sovereignty. Like, we have to actually put actions with our emotional. To me, Campbell, like the key of a sovereign human being is that you have decided on your moral code, on your value system, your moral code, and that you live to your moral code, that you are impeccable to your moral code and to your value system. And that is something you get to decide all by yourself. There is
Yep.
not one rule that fits all, and there's not some fucking commandments that like are meant to be the be all and end all. You're sovereign. And so you get
Well,
to choose.
remember when your word used to mean something? People's word, they'd give you your word and it meant they would not break it. You know, a
Yep.
handshake used to mean something.
Yep.
These things, not anymore, at least to most people, they just don't mean anything. But and that's because people don't live by their word. They don't know what their morals are, what their, what point of view they're coming from and what they will and won't tolerate and what they will
Yep.
and won't stand up for. They don't know.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they're these floppy people who just are easily manipulated, right?
Yep.
Change with the wind. When something looks better, they just jump ship.
Yep, absolutely. And so what does it take to have design and create your own moral code and to be impeccable towards it? Because the only person you're ever going to let down is yourself. Really. It's not about letting down the church or letting down God or letting down Jesus Christ superstar. It's not about letting down any of that. It's about letting yourself down. And that's a sovereign being. And when a sovereign being's moral code has been clearly communicated and then has been disrespected, then you have to choose how you respond to that. And in my mind, my response is to go it, is to like raise my sword and roar and bellow. It's not to sit there and stroke them and love them and like, you know,
No,
make their transition to doing the right thing a comfortable and safe place. Fuck that.
evil things happen when good people do nothing.
Yeah.
And that's how we are where we are. That's how it happened. All these little incrementations, all these little laws, tax introduced, license your car, more taxes, more restrictions, more codes. We and our predecessors let those in. We said okay. We didn't stand up. And in America, right, the Boston Tea Party, they tried to raise the taxes by I don't think it was even a full percent,
Yep.
and there was a revolution because those people knew their code, their moral code. They knew what they stood for. They knew what tyranny was because they had a moral code. See, it's harder to judge the outside world and other people if you don't have your own code. Like, what are you judging them on?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So this is the thing that whole she'll be right, mate. Let's just let it go. Oh, let's sit down in light and love. That has got us to this point in
Yep.
history.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm.
And then you gotta say, like, at what point does this change? Like, there's a couple of things going on here. But at what point does that actually change? Like, Campbell's absolutely right. The protests that roared up and the amount of people that said no to all the mandates and no, that was an action that hasn't happened on this realm for so friggin' long. Maybe never. I don't even know. I mean, I guess the flower power generation and the push against the war, maybe, but the way that
I reckon,
humanity, you don't
I
reckon
reckon,
maybe?
I reckon that would have been bigger in 2020,
Yeah.
2021. It was
Yeah.
all around the world.
Yep, I agree. It was all around the world. And that had a significant impact on what's playing out now. Even though it may not be as obvious as we've got disclosure and the shit got better, but it definitely had a massive impact because humanity decided it was against their moral codes, that they were not to be mandated to put something in their body or adhere to any of this bullshit.
Hmm.
So, like, there's a couple of things playing out here. At what point do you guys think we as a human race are going to stand up against this parasitic agenda that has, like, not only programmed us to be submissive and enslaved by it and kind of just sit in a corner and be fucked by poisons and, have all our rights removed and lick our wounds, but like be in a state of forgiveness, meditation, and love, like very friggin' Buddhists. Thank you, Dalai Lama, who is, a cretin of a human being who absolutely has no standing in what love and light actually looks like or mean, is absolutely part of this parasitic agenda, 100%. And
And then he hangs out at the WEF, man, with Klaus the Bug Man.
that's right. And he's also thoroughly, thoroughly connected to this reptilian agenda. So, and a lot of sex cults. So, this whole like idea of sitting there in in loving meditation while you're being basically raped and murdered is a program. But at what point does that change? Like, at what point does it change? And if you're not willing to develop your own moral code and stand up for what you believe is against your moral code, what is wrong for yourself and those around you, then when is it going to change, Campbell? When? When are you going to get the guts to raise your sword?
It'll never change. Nothing changes until we change, right? So, you know, without a moral code, like I said before, people don't know who they are. They don't know what they stand for. If you don't know what you stand for, then you'll stand for anything.
Yep. Yep. So it's really interesting because, you know, this led us to kind of be contemplating, like, what sort of event would have to occur across the whole realm, like simultaneously, to actually get humanity to unite finally, free of all the programming, free of all the subservienceness, free of all even the personal development community. You know, it's all about, like, you know, full on, you're responsible for your own reality, you create reality, and which is all true at a point. It's all true, but like what they haven't like actually taken into that equation is that we exist right now in a negatively charged realm. That the energetics that make all of this work is negatively charged. And not only that, we're at an apex moment of that negatively charged realm. Like, we're at the worst time of that negative charge realm, as you guys can see from all the evil shit that's going on around you across every single genre of what it is, what reality is made up of. Like, we're there. So, like, you can sit there and work on law of attraction. You can sit there and work on money manifestation, or being a nice, shiny, sprightly person that like does all this personal development, like, which is all good to an extent. It is. But when you're still operating in a negatively charged realm, those energies aren't really going to support you being like the best, good, loving person you could possibly be, full of love, because you've got the wrong charge you're having to work with.
That's and I mean, you know, our notion of success, it's all within the system.
Oh, so
These
true.
successful people, they're all they're only successful within the system. You know, you want to go out and build a nature-based community, and you know, it's much harder. And even if you do, most people won't see that as, you know, successful. I want to be like that kind of thing. So that's why it's a negatively charged world. So you can still get successful if you're in their world and playing by their rules and basically helping their agenda, right?
Yeah, and you know what? People who do try to forge ahead and build these communities and these beautiful natural environments, they really struggle. They struggle. They struggle to get the money. They struggle to get the people. It's always a big shit fight to get this stuff done, because they're not being supported by a positive charged realm that would effortlessly give birth to these ideas. They're having to push. They're going like against the stream, against the flow of the charge.
Yeah.
But then you've got millions of examples of people who are just like thriving online, you know, creating billions of dollars by selling this or doing this or doing this, and they're gorgeous and they've got the perfect everything. And it's just like, who are these people? Like, where are these people?
Yeah, where are half of them even real? We don't even know, right? But you know, even as far as what they throw up to us, you know, through the system, of course, are people, successful in the system. Like, it's all within the system. Like you said, they never help or promote anyone who's trying to do something outside the system. In fact, they try and jail them. We know this, right? Like, if you don't play by their rules, they get tougher and tougher. You know,
Yeah.
Hopefully we're breaking through that soon. There's a lot of work going on with law and that, but ultimately we can't beat these parasites with their own system, in their system, through their system, because they designed it.
And they're also completely charged by it.
Yeah. So the best thing that we can do, it's like, you know, Max Egan says it all the time, like non-compliance. Just don't comply. You know, Max normally says peaceful non-compliance, and you know, I think we're getting to the point where, you know, we have to question that as well. Like, how much are we just gonna, you know, put up with? You know, if you don't comply and they then come and try and take your car or your house or trash your garden or whatever it is, there has to be a point where we say no, and that would mean having a community ready, right? If they're coming to take someone's house, get 1,000 people there.
I mean, we
And
just
that's not,
don't have, Campbell, in our lifetime, we just don't have evidence of love winning.
no,
So
exactly.
like we don't
Yeah,
have that to draw on.
or even any great heroes that have won. They're all back in the past, you know.
Yeah. We don't have a living example where, soldiers lay down their weapons on the battlefield and decided this is retarded and like hugged and said sorry and said we don't want to kill each other
Right.
anymore. We didn't have an example of that. We didn't have an example of anyone solving one of these disgusting illnesses or diseases. Like we don't have example of any like true change that's come from any charity, you know. I'm going to
No,
exclude
no.
carbonate. We don't
Well,
have,
exactly right. Remember
yeah.
when we were little, right? If you don't finish your food, you know, people in Africa are going to starve.
Yep, yep,
And now, 40 years later, nothing's changed for a
done.
lot of these people,
Yeah.
right?
But
Like
the famine, the 40-hour famine, like World Vision. What the fuck did that? What?
they
What
should have
about
made so much money. What about what was the song? We Are the
Live
World,
Aid?
and
Live
Babe
Aid. What
made
happened to Live Aid?
hundreds of millions of dollars. Where'd it go? Who you to
What?
aid?
It's just all the same scam, isn't it? It just goes on and on. And I'm sorry, the sun's annoying me. It just goes
Well,
on.
yeah, and everyone in Live Aid and We Are the World, and that they just kept getting richer and living their lives of luxury and opulence. And yeah, the people that were supposed to help got not like nothing changed. It's just a scam.
It's just a scam. So we don't have any actual like real. Ugh, I'm sorry, I'm just annoyed by my whole setup right now. The sun's, you know what? Winter's upon me, so the sun has changed
Oh,
directions.
there's
That's
the
what's
ice bath
happened
in the
in
background.
the.
Had an ice bath at like what was it, 8:30 or something in the morning. It was very cold.
I'm just pacing back and forth. So we didn't have any actual examples of love winning, which is really tricky then for people to have hope and faith that if they do stand up to do the right thing, it's going to turn
Yeah,
out well, or that there's going to be any impact or change, right? So we don't
yeah,
have that example because we live in a negatively charged realm currently. And we've never seen humans do anything profoundly unified up until these recent protests, right?
yep.
So it's really interesting. So from that perspective, I was
Mm,
saying, Campbell, like what could you possibly imagine could actually happen right
mm.
now that could actually change this outcome to something we've never seen before? I have
Yes.
my theories.
Well, yes. I won't let your theory out. Um, I mean, my answer to that was it's going to be some kind of disclosure, right? Some video or something of these people actually doing, some of the stuff that we've heard that they're doing, and be irrefutable evidence that sort of gets out to, the majority of the population. It would have to be something shocking because we know what happened in 2020, and that wasn't enough. Clearly, a lot of people stood up, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough for the whole world to rise and to go and throw out these parasites. So, and I think a big part of that is a lot of people just don't believe. They're probably still in shock or something or whatever, but they just don't believe that these rulers, those who wish to rule us, could be this evil
Yeah.
and could be this warped and twisted. They just can't go there. They'll sort of accept the jab and say, "Oh well, that was for our health." And then when they realize everyone's dying, they go, "Oh well, they didn't know that at the time." They make excuses, but if something's putting their face of some of these people and some of the acts that we've heard about, then that was my answer.
Mhm.
Yours was a bit
Classic
different.
Kelly answer. Yeah, so all right, so here's my theory. It would be very, very cool, and it's just I'm gonna sort of put it out there. So, all right, so I'm gonna start with a story here, that came to me from David Icke, ironically. Well, not ironically, probably perfectly. David
I can't,
Icke, on one of his stage shows that I saw, he talked about a hypnotist, and you would know this story, Campbell. And this hypnotist got up on stage and he had a pocket watch. And he called a father and a daughter up onto stage. You guys probably already know this. All of you probably know this example. And he hypnotized the father and said, "Your daughter's not here. You can't see her sensor. She's just not here at all." And so he clicked his fingers, and the father's there, and the daughter's right beside him, and he's looking around. He can't see his daughter. He's no sense that she's there. The hypnotist gets a pocket watch and he puts it in the cup of his hand. And then he puts that pocket watch behind the daughter's back and says to the father, "What's in my hand?" And he says, "The pocket watch." And
Basically, because he saw through his daughter.
exactly. So
Invisible.
yeah, so he that hypnotist was able to literally rewire the neuro pathway of this man's brain, including his five senses, to actually delete completely out of his consciousness the idea that his daughter was right beside him in full physical biological form, to the extent that he could see right through her as if she didn't exist at all and could see the pocket watch. So I
Right.
have always been super fascinated by that story. What does that mean we are? If we literally can be deleted to that extent, then what are we? And how does our brains work? And then what was reality? I heard this story when I was probably like 21, and it stayed with me and it shaped my questioning for all time.
Mm.
So, with that in mind, I have understood for my whole adult life that what we perceive in this reality is absolutely up to how we've been programmed to perceive
Yes.
things. So,
Yes. It's like vision.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So, and alongside that is the agendas that like basically are going to enhance that perception and to grow that perception. So when we started with the shit in the food chain, like if that's the thing, that's the fuel we need to put inside ourselves that then intimately affect how we think and feel about reality, then there is a massive agenda to control how we perceive reality. So with that in mind, and with the idea in mind that we literally have never had a living example of love winning, never. And now imagine this, because I don't know about you, Campbell, but I am feeling a shift in charge. I am
Mm.
feeling, I mean, I'm coughing my guts up, probably coughing up a whole heap of fucking parasites, but I feel a shift in energetic charge. I know we're getting closer and closer to that moment where it flips. And if you haven't seen our teachings on this, basically what we've been theorizing is that the realm will go through essentially a pole shift, not in the way that the globe would represent it, but from a torus field coming out of the center of the earth, and that's
Yep.
going to it's currently in a certain state, and it's going to reverse and change and shift into its opposite.
That's the
And
pole shift.
the
Mm.
pole shift, yes, it's an energetic shift, and it's a shift between negative and positive, a shift between how you would say love or lack of love. What would be your term for lack of love? Um, so service to others or versus service to self,
Yeah.
love versus fear, freedom versus control, whatever your
It's,
polarity is.
it's changing from the energy coming from out and going in to the energy being in and going out.
Yes, yes, yes,
At
yes,
the
yes,
moment, like we're ruled by people who are sucking everything into themselves, like
yes.
self-centered. Mm.
Yes, exactly. And that energy will shift the what would I say in the most hippiest of sense, the vibe
The
on this realm, man. The
you
vibe's going to
know,
shift.
yes.
Now, at the moment, we're living in a negatively charged realm, obviously, and those who are negatively disposed as souls or lack of souls, obviously, are getting charged by this energetic grid. Like they're literally supercharged, literally the ones in charge, literally the ones profiteering from the resources and energetics of this realm and everything this realm has to offer. They're profiteering from nature. They're profiteering from animals. They're profiteering from humans. They're profiteering from, every single system that exists on this realm in its current form. Um, so that's where we currently are now.
Mm.
If we're creeping closer and closer to this apex moment, which you guys might put down to a reset, that's probably the term we'd use, a reset, the
Mm.
awakening, the shift in consciousness, the shift from
Yeah.
3D to 5D, whatever terminology.
Apocalypse.
Yep,
Also, I
apocalypse.
was just thinking also judgment, right? Like, because as we get closer in this, like you said, the dark energy is the most just before the change. So people who don't know their moral code are more susceptible, right? And
Oh,
so
fuck yeah.
as soon as it flips, they're going to judge themselves for all the acts that they committed.
Oh,
So
well,
it'll be judgment as well, I think.
I mean, the
You've got
Christian
God coming down
Crusades.
and, send people to hell and heaven, but I think there'll be a judgment, self-judgment.
Well, it's a very interesting. It's going to be a very fascinating thing to experience together.
I
That's
just
for
hope we
sure.
get superpowers back, man.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't we? Our whole like so from my theory right now, basically we have been programmed a certain way and fed a certain diet and lived a certain reality that enhances a certain consciousness and ability to perceive reality. Just like we can only see a certain light spectrum at this point, right? So it's interesting to me with those energies changing and shifting and starting to move through to make that shift. Anyone who is positively charged, naturally positive charged soul, who is an organic soul, who is a service to others soul imprint, which is our whole community, right? And pretty much everyone we know. And it's very obvious when you have someone around that isn't that. Mm. Like, let's look at our last week there, having to deal with someone who isn't that.
Yes.
So like when you're looking at it from that perception, okay, imagine this. Imagine if the energies start working in our favor. Like up until this point, we've not had examples of that, of energy working in our favor, charging our dreams, charging our desires, charging our intentions, charging our very good intentions to do good things on this realm and create good communities and be better and form like loving spaces and looking after each other, all those things, all those natural things that run through every single one of you. The energies have always been difficult to tune into those ideas and to make manifest. But if you were to use your, energy to do some negative crime on this realm, you simply would be very supported. I know with Carbonate, if we went out blazing and saying we fully believe in climate change and,
Oh,
we've got
yeah.
to do all this shit, we'd be given by now, we would have been given millions and millions and millions of dollars of grants. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
fucking money would have been raining down on us. But because we keep like pushing against that agenda, we're always like kept at this certain level of like grassroots funding because we don't support. Okay, that's not my point. So imagine if the energy starts to work in our favor. We've never known it, we've never seen it, but imagine if it starts working in our favor to the point where your dreams, your intentions are starting to make manifest and aligning and effortlessly coming about. And you can feel yourself for the first time on these ideas in the flow. You can
Mm.
feel yourself in that flow that Abraham Hicks always talks about that we never can achieve properly, like flowing downstream, flowing with the energy current, flowing in the right direction because suddenly it's the right energy current. Suddenly you're actually in the right stream. You can feel it and it's not hard work. You don't have to sit there and do rampages of appreciation every 5 minutes because everything else in your life is bullshit because, you've just got like a $10 million ticket for having your phone in your hand in the car. Like you don't have to like when you're downstream on the right energy current, you don't have to amplify that. It's just is. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
Mm.
Imagine then if there's an energetic event in support of love, in support of freedom and disclosure that just naturally occurs because the currents have changed. And that event does something that breaks down the hypnotic illusion that's been blocking our visual relationship with reality so
Oh,
that
that's right.
in
This is
one,
still your answer, isn't it?
yeah,
God, you've been going for 10 minutes.
I know. And look, I'm starting to cough.
Carry on.
That breaks down our goggles, so to speak, that breaks down whatever's been blocking us from seeing the truth. Now, I believe in the reptilian agenda, Campbell. I always have. It was the first thing I started with. It makes total sense to me. There's been enough evidence of people with their eyes shifting, shape-shifting entities, shape-shifting eyes, so many examples of shape-shifting eyes, parasitic by nature, taking over the host, conducting world affairs, becoming all the ones in charge. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that the reptilian agenda is off the spectrum. And I think, whether they came from the outer realms or they came from up under the earth, whatever the situation is, they fucking hate us and they want to enslave and control the human race. Why can't we see them? That is the question. Why cannot we see them? Imagine if we've been under mass hypnosis or mass illusion or delusion as a result of the negatively charged energy, the spells, the programming, the food, all their blood rituals, all the rituals they do on every single thing that they release into the public. They've done rituals over AI technology, over the Dow index, over stocks and shares, over the money, over the music, over Hollywood,
records, yeah,
over our food, like all these blood rituals in order to continue the magic hypnotic state that we cannot perceive their presence. Imagine in one beautiful moment if the energy shift simultaneously across the earth for some reason, just because it's a natural order of events, and suddenly that delusion fell and we could see them in their real true form simultaneously across the whole realm. Every single actor that is playing host to a reptilian being, like completely exposed. Would that be enough to unify humanity in a moment to get them to stand up against this fucking enslavement? And I believe that would be enough, Campbell. I think in that moment, we would unite without even a question, because in that moment, you would see humans versus the parasitic, enslaving
agenda.
beings.
Yeah. It's very, they live, right?
They live.
And same sort of concept is that they were sending out a signal, right, that was blocking or interfering with people's perception. And that's what, I've been saying this for years, right? That's what education is. That's what the school system is to give us the world that we see, to tell us what everything is. They get us to draw a house, to draw the sun, to draw a cow and a dog and all this stuff. And that literally builds a picture in our world, in our mind, of what the world is and how we see it. So that's why it's a program, and that's why they teaches spelling, right? It's all in the words, it's all in this stuff. And then along with that, obviously we've got the music and the TV and the video games, and we know people back in the 50s wouldn't have fallen for this stuff anywhere near as much. They had a much bigger moral code, and they also had much less TV and like all of this programming coming into them.
They were pretty simplistic though in their minds. I don't know.
Well, if you walked into one of their houses and started trying to tell them what to do, they'd either clop you on or pull out a gun.
Would they though? Like they all dress the same.
Well, I'm thinking of Australian 50s, maybe.
Oh, okay, all right.
The Australian 50s, the male especially was like and we were talking about this the other day too. Is like when we were young, like the adults don't trust the government,
Yeah.
They were very anti, government and establishment, all this stuff. And 20, 30 years passes or 40, and they're all just subservient. They used to tell us not to sit too close to the telly, it's the idiot box or your eyes will go square. And now they quote the news to me and stuff because they sit in front of their smart TVs, right?
Yep.
So what happened there?
Yep. There's definitely been a shift. There's definitely been a mega shift. So in my mind, the energies are going to start working for love. In my mind, the true God, the true creator is love. That's what it is. That's what it is. It is love.
It's an energy.
It's an energy of love. It's in however that's manifested. Religions of the world have been set up by, have always been run by, and have always acted parasitic onto the human race. No matter what religion you want to talk about, no matter which one, it's always been that way. They are parasitic by nature. They make you feel like a sinner. They make you feel dependent on external beings to get your spiritual guidance and your repentance. They make you feel that you have to give what you have created to them. They are a big money vortex, a parasitic vortex of taking resources in every direction, across the realm, every religion,
Yeah, and also fear and making sure people don't stand up, right?
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God, you silly being. You silly, jealous Lord. You silly, jealous Lord.
The Lord, man.
You cannot stand. You cannot stand in the face of love. Like it is such so to me, religion, particularly Christianity, because we're Western, um, it's part of that parasitic agenda and will have to fall because the energies aren't going to support it any longer. But we've never seen that. We've never seen that.
Oh,
So we don't
yeah.
know how that looks.
Yep, exactly.
But I tell
Maybe
you
it
what,
just needs, I don't know, 100 or 144,000 people to gather in some
that
great event
number.
together. Maybe that'll push it.
Ooh, leading on to our prequel discussion. But like, can you imagine, Campbell, if like the energies start working for us and then spontaneously, in one moment across the realm at the same time, the delusion drops, either from our programming, so we can actually see clearly again and see truth, or from their magical technology where they have
Ah,
put a veil onto them, so we can't see
yeah.
what they are. Now imagine to every single religious goer, whether you're Christian, fucking Jewish, Islamic, Buddhist, whatever, in that moment, would not your leaders, your priests, your people, would they not be part of this parasitic
Oh, of
agenda?
course, they all are. They'd all be exposed at once. There's all the leaders, right? The people in positions of power. And it's interesting when you said, I can see clearly now, sort of that song, right? I can see clearly now the
Yep.
rain is gone.
Oh, put it on the
Interesting if you put in rain, REIGN, right? The
Yes.
rain is
Oh,
gone.
yes. I love how you play with words. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, so I mean it's a really interesting concept to my mind. And I still am very fond of an Australian channel called Blossom Goodchild. She's
Yes,
yes,
we have
I make
listened. Yeah, I
Campbell
was
listen
going to
to
say we should mention
Yeah.
the what are they called? Monoliths or
Oh yeah, yeah,
souls.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I still there's a few people that I listen to that always will listen to, and I hope that we are that for you guys. Because there's energetic I have an energetic signature with the people that I listen to, and Blossom Goodchild is one of those people. I just like her style, and I like it. She channels the Federation of Light. The I think
But
it's
anyway,
called that. Whatever that looks like. She doesn't go into the space talk, and I know that's irrelevant to me because I just instinctively and intuitively feel energetic connection to the information. And on her last podcast, it was interesting because alongside this theory, she just happened to say when she was channeling that there is coming a time very soon where all leaders would fall at once.
interesting.
Not just Trump or Biden or
Trump,
Fauci,
sorry, trigger warning, people. Do it
but
again.
all leaders would fall at once. And I was like, well, that's fucking perfect to my new theory because in this theory, they would all be exposed at once
Mm,
across the realm and they would not be able to avoid it or hide from it because it would be an energetic shift, organic and natural as we move towards this pole shift.
mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. And people may have heard of these metal monoliths
Mm.
that popped up. When was it? A couple of years ago, maybe
Mate,
2021.
mate,
And
I've been following
they
them.
they
They
suddenly
fascinate me.
appeared. Like I can't remember how many of them. 50 or so just appeared one day all across the realm.
To date, Campbell, there's been over 1,800.
Yeah, so I didn't realize it's still going. They're still popping up, and the government are going and ripping them down when they do.
Yep,
Very
yep.
strange.
They're just appearing, and I've been following it because I'm very interested in it because it symbolizes to me these monoliths appearing, and they're like tall, metallic, rectangular objects that just appear randomly, which is probably not random at all. They'd be definitely appearing on song lines, ley lines, energy lines. Um, it feels to me that indicates an example that we are being supported, that this plight of the human race to reestablish freedom and love back into this realm is not happening in isolation, that we're not alone in that struggle, that there actually are love conscious energetic beings outside of our realm that are in support and helping us to come to this moment of change. And I fully believe the monoliths. Well, I mean, I hope that I fully believe the monoliths represent that. To me, I see them as a symbol that we are not alone. That's how I feel about them, you know? And if I'm going to sit here and say I truly believe that we have got a reptilian parasitic agenda going on, and that will be one of these big moments of understanding the situation we're in, then I also believe that there are, equal and probably more beautiful, love-based energies and energetics and souls and individuals and beings that are consciously supporting us as best they can through this shift. But they
Yeah,
can't just, yep, go on.
no, I agree. I mean, I think, I mean, I definitely hope that's true.
Mm,
And I think that we should all, you know,
feels
believe in
nice.
that. Yeah, try and manifest that. But at the same time, don't leave the job up to them, right? It doesn't
Well,
mean
it's
we get
impossible.
down on our butts and do nothing.
I was about to say
Because
that.
if we're doing something as well and they're doing it and there are other people doing it, then it happens quicker, right? So I
Well,
just want to add in. We're not saying sit down if someone's doing it for you.
no, I think that would be an impossible equation because all of this has to lead to human sovereignty. Like it has to lead to human sovereignty, and that takes us back to the example of the indigenous. Like we literally have to seek that within ourselves and live that on this realm. They can't come in and save the day because then humanity would turn them into the saviors and we'll start the same polarizing loop as always. Like that's irrelevant. And they will probably be met with as much negative force as we would meet any alien coming into this realm. It could be it would be easily spun in a negative way. Now,
Mm,
the key to this whole process is that you individually have to form your own moral code and value systems, live up to it, live up and honor yourself and be impeccable in that, and move towards your own sovereignty. And in that sovereignty, you get to decide if you want to raise a sword and slit someone's throat, or if you want to sit back and meditate on them becoming better people. That's entirely up to you. You know,
mm.
that sovereignty has to be evolving at the same time and rate that the shift in energy is happening. I think,
Yeah.
Campbell.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. If we're going into a new world, or we want to go into a new world, we have to be the kind of people that can live and function in that new world and keep that new world.
Yeah.
And this is why why it takes time, right, to manifest things sometimes or to become something, and that which is ultimately why you don't have it. Everyone wants $1 million, say, or a lot of people want $1 million. Why don't have $1 million? It's because if they got $1 million, they'd lose it. They can't handle it. They have to become the person who is worthy of it, who can handle it before they get it. And I think that's the same with whatever we want, and especially this awakening, whatever we want to call it, new earth thing. I think that's what I come back to. Why? Because why is this taking so long? But look around, a lot of people aren't ready, right? Like we've been saying, a lot of people don't know who they are, they don't know what they stand for, and they just get pushed around. They get taken for a ride, um and just basically give in, right? And we can't have these people in a new earth. It's a different place.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I personally don't know if it's going to be that hard. I feel like that may still be a bit of the leftover attitudes of this realm. Like,
Yeah,
I think if you know who you are and you know your moral code,
yeah, a
then
good moral code. That's the main thing because it's if we're going to be getting things easier and manifesting our thoughts easier, then people need to have morals, right? Or else
yes,
it's not
yes.
going to
And
be a good world.
I just think the people who are clear on those topics will rise to become leaders. That's what I
Yeah,
think will be the difference. But
yeah.
I also think that in this shift, what will happen to many is that a lot of essentially, I would hope that all of the programming, all of the trauma from all of that programming is eradicated in 1 second. Like that it's that easy and quick, that it's swift change, that it releases humanity from the burden of this trauma overlay that we have been like exposed to from the moment we're conceived, sort of thing.
Mm,
And like I think it would make sense to me that and equally so as that would fall upon humanity, the opposite is true, that those who are the perpetrators of all of this would instantly be unable to operate in that sort of energetic,
mm.
whether they will starve or suffocate or like cease to have a food source or shrink or lose their definitely losing their standing within society, not be able to hide what they are, that you can actually see their truth. Like all of those things would dramatically alter the the game, alter the paradigm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, be flipping the board, right? And I agree. I don't think at that point when there's an energy flip, a pole change, whatever we want to call it, that we're going to have to do that much to deal with them. They'll all be exposed, these people, but I think the energies will just put them will align with their thoughts a lot more, right?
Yeah.
And basically they'll just suffer the consequences, the karma of the life that they've lived. I think that hopefully it will just disappear, right? That'd be better.
I'm
But yeah, I agree, and I think it's the people who have stayed true to their moral code and to who they are that will find life the easiest, and so will rise the quickest.
exactly. That's what I think. That's what I think about it. That's
Mm.
why I think like our community, I always respect and honor because, for all of them, they've gone through those journeys and you've definitely found yourself on the fringe of everything. You're on the fringe of everything, including your support system, including your families, all of it. You're on the fringe. And it's on the fringe that you determine who you are.
Yeah, exactly. You definitely don't determine who you are in the crowd.
No. It's on the fringe that you determine who you are, and it's on the fringe that your resources are the least.
Yes,
And
yes,
because they're the least, you have to truly determine your code of conduct because
Mm,
you're not in a space of
yeah,
luxurious ease. You don't have the
yeah.
resource to
It's
make it
true.
comfortable and easy and negligible if you make a good decision or bad decision. Like everything counts.
Yeah, and it just makes it more tempting to do the wrong thing, right? Like steal or scam people or anything like that, right?
Or steel going right at you, Miss Tara. Um, so I mean, there you go. Like when you're on the fringe and you're having your resources are limited, you are having to deal with accountability more than anyone else
Yep,
because you don't have
totally.
you don't have that excess to make as a buffer zone to make it comfortable.
Mm.
You're having to understand accountability alongside your moral code. And like that's a really good place to be. And it's a good place to have been for the last couple of decades because by now you're hitting your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and it takes a bit to ruffle your feathers now. You know how you're going to respond and you can basically stand there for as long as it takes, if it's required to like maintain your sovereignty, to stand up for what you believe is right and wrong and do it in the face of great adversity. And I think so many people went through that with the protest movement, which was just so powerful. So
Mm.
anyway, that's my theory, Campbell. That's what I'm putting out there. That's what I'm putting my bets on. Anyone want to add their bets to it? Am I right or wrong? I'm going to stake my claim. This is where I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we're going to have
Well,
some support from the energies coming up.
but we've been shown it so often, that scenario, right? I mean, even like Scooby Doo. Remember at Scooby Doo, the end of everything, they'd pull the mask off.
Oh,
And it's, oh, it's
yeah.
not who we thought it was, you
Yeah,
know?
that's right. The
Um,
unveiling.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And obviously they live, but there's so many other movies where people have got different sort of shields or invisibility or cloaking or something, and they
Yeah.
appear as something that they're not. And at the end,
Yep.
we find out, oh, hang on, it was not what we thought of who it was,
The
right?
great veil. The great veil.
And that's where we are, right? The apocalypse, the unveiling. I mean, it's an interesting word, right? To lift the veil.
Yeah, and like what an amazing dream. What an amazing dreaming that in one simultaneous moment across the earth, all people of all world religions were the truth was unveiled, that they saw through the religion. They saw
Mm,
through the parasites. And in doing that, they were forced as human beings to make humanity their religion, to make humanity what they place their faith in and their intention and their love and their good actions and their moral code, like all at once. It would just be like freeing millions of people from programming and enslavement from religion. I mean, that's an amazing dreaming,
yeah,
because it's religion that creates division more than anything else and judgment. more than
Yes,
anything else, and keeps humanity small more than anything else. And then add the food chain.
and they talk about it's all what you do, but that's not what they practice. It's never what it's never what you do. It's just what you say, right? And how many times a week you go to church. It's never. They're not judged by actions that these Christians and Buddhists and whatever else, Jewish people, Muslims, um, and that's what at the core of every religion. That's what the teaching is: do the right thing. That's what you do. It's who you are. It's not talking about it. It's not judging people because they're not doing what you're doing. And, it's not going to church and pretending to be something you're not. It's actually about living a good life and being good to other humans. Like Kelly
But
said,
they've hijacked it.
humans, your religion. They
They've
have, yeah.
hijacked what it means to do the right thing.
Well, people don't do the right thing anymore. They think it's throwing, $10 in a tray at church and then walking past a homeless person and ignoring them on the way home.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And it's at such a point that the people who are doing this, they feel good. Oh, but I gave $10 to the church. It doesn't matter that I ignore the homeless people or ignore the injustice in the world, because I'm going home to my nice, safe, warm house. It's yeah, they aren't who they say they are. I learned this lesson when I was like 5 or something, man. That
Yeah.
all these people, it's just all a facade. They're not who they claim to be. Because if they were, how many Christians are in the world? Like, well, I don't know, 1 billion, something like that. Like, if they were all out there doing the right thing and not saying, but actually doing all this stuff, the world would be a much better place.
I mean, and then you look at the Islamic religions. I fucking denounce them all. They are disgusting. I'm sorry, they're disgusting. I tell you why, because I have watched from the 70s the beautiful cultures of women
Yeah,
throughout the Middle Eastern religions go from free, beautiful, gorgeous human beings to suppressed things that look like Thing. They look like Thing from the Addams Family, draped in these
thing,
long black,
Uncle,
these,
Uncle, no, what's
yeah,
not
Thing that
thing?
has,
Thing's the hand, isn't
oh,
it?
not the hand. Who's the one that had
Yeah,
all the just the long
yeah,
hair that was
yeah,
just,
that one. But that's
um,
not Festa. Who is that?
no, who is that? Anyway,
Tell us,
they've got these big
tell us in the comments.
the big black like drape that goes right down from their head to their feet with this little slit. And that's
Man,
what
Darth
religion
Vader.
has done.
Yeah,
Fucking disgusting.
we
It
talk
makes my
about
blood cringe.
covering up people's light, right?
Oh my God.
And if you haven't seen, go and Google, like the Middle East in the 70s.
I've got some pictures to put in right here.
Yeah, it was cool. Like they had beach resorts and stuff along the beach.
Yep.
Everyone was, no one was in poverty, no one was restricted. Everyone had a good life. They're all
Highest level of
healthy.
universities and education, like, and just beautiful, creative, free, happy, healthy human beings. And then in came fucking religion to the max and deleted female souls
Mm.
across the Islamic religion. And that does not stop with Islamic. In the
Oh
Jewish
no.
culture, fucking hell, man, women have to shave their heads and wear wigs. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but like,
Most Jewish women, yeah, exactly. They have no hair, they have a wig.
they are completely and utterly enslaved by their
Gotta
husbands.
cut their antennas off, man, or else they'll start picking stuff up, right?
Awful. Enslaved by their husbands. Just revolting. But that's the same in the Christian church and, of course, the Buddhist church, where the nuns are like put up the back because they're condemned for being distractions to the monks. And there will never be a female Dalai Lama. There'll never be head female anything in the Buddhist religion. Like, man, honestly, I could write a whole book denouncing every single world religion right now. Like, I'm detesting it all. I just feel these supercharged words coming out of my mouth, like these supercharged energies. It's so easy now to see the truth, the reveal of the truth of what religion has done to this realm. And none of it is in your service. And I fucking RIP all of my fucking besties that have gone and become born agains.
Mm. Yes, I know, right? You've had a couple of close people
So sad.
um do it, and yeah, well, it's interesting too, just to watch people who do take that path, and you hear them sort of proclaiming, oh, it's all about non-judgment and being love and all this stuff, and then as soon as they get into it, all they do is judge you for not being like them
Ugh.
and thinking what they think. It's very, very strange.
I just feel
Uh,
sad that they've fallen for it.
I know, especially at this time, right? But the negative charge is building, as we said, and I think people are going to be more susceptible. People who aren't as sure, back to as who they are and what their moral code is, they're more susceptible, right? Like, I mean, my moral code says don't join organisations that are run by P-files, right? And so that's a line I won't cross, in or business or do anything with those people.
Yeah.
So the fact that we know that the leaders in all major religions are this way, and if we put it to a smaller scale, like cults, all cults are created on sex. That's how they
Mm,
mind manipulate people
yeah.
and destroy their moral, fiber so that they can then manipulate them and turn them into something else, right? It's all around sex and sexual repression and all the other stuff to do with that.
Yep. Sex, the old
It's just
sex that's been left for 200 years to be
sex
negatively
sells, right?
charged.
Yeah,
Sex
yeah.
that's been negatively charged, man. Look at the state of this realm. Now imagine sex without the negative charge and actually just the positive charge going through it. What are we freaking talking about then? We're probably talking about the ringing cedars of Russia. We're probably talking about the Anastasia realm. We're talking about a whole other level of what
Oh,
sex looks like when it's positively charged.
yeah,
It
yeah.
certainly
I
doesn't
agree.
harm.
No, yeah, well, no, and it's not an industry that you can profit from, right?
Yeah, it's not
It's
marketing.
Yeah, it's not marketing.
It
It's not
doesn't
any of this
underpin
stuff.
the economy.
It's not, jealousy and all these weird things that happen over, obsessions and things. It's, it's love, right? It's got to do with love.
I mean, we can see from when the Christian agenda came in, the story of our invaders came in, we can see from that moment that rape, because rape is all the way through that Bible, rape was the way that sex suddenly became negatively charged. They used rape as the number one negatively charged violent act of trauma towards humanity. I'm
Yeah,
talking men, like it's not just women, it's
no,
men,
no,
women, and children.
exactly.
Men, women, and children have been
Yeah, like,
raped since
yeah,
Christianity took over this realm.
yeah. If you haven't heard, like, Google P. Diddy arrest and see what's been going on there, right? Like, and that's the weird thing. Like, a lot of these people in these positions of, being stars and that, they've all gone through this initiation, right? But they did it according to their moral value and what their code and what they would put up with to get what they want, and they all went through it. But this is the thing: even all these people that are put up in front of us, they've all been raped, man. I just
All been
they
raped.
just have.
Oh,
That's the price,
massively,
right? It's
epically.
and I guess that's the most personal thing you can take from someone, right? Like
I mean,
that's how you ultimately sort of take their innocence, their essence, and really mind screw them, right? So it's
yeah.
a control tool as much as anything.
I mean, blood ritual magic, ritual satanic magic is all underpinned by sex. All of it.
Yeah.
The whole
Oh,
lot. The entire
yeah.
thing. Satanic agenda. It's so obvious. It's just all
It's all, just
sex.
just watch a pop concert these
Mm,
days, or an MTV Awards or something, and you'll see the pop stars who come out all sexy, sexy, and then
mm.
suddenly they're doing some dark ritual, right? Like
Yeah.
it's totally entwined.
But how interesting to look at it from the perspective of it suddenly being positively charged. You know,
Mm.
that intimacy is positively charged. Um, Leadership's positively charged. Education being positively charged. Like, what's going to be the shift in the education system?
Entertainment, yeah.
Entertainment positively charged. I mean, can
Imagine
you even
entertainment being
imagine?
entertaining again.
Oh my
Jeez,
God.
might
Imagine all
actually
the
get musicians back.
all the amazing artists, creators, singers, songwriters, all the amazing human, organic human creators that would be supercharged,
And
into the entertainment industry again.
there's so many of them out there still, but it's like we were talking about before, unless you want to work within the system, they make it so hard for you. So,
Yep.
it's a saying, right? The starving artist.
Yep.
Like, and
And
these are
yep.
people who just are creating and trying to bring beauty and stuff into the world for people to appreciate, and they have one of the hardest times, right?
And it's so interesting, Campbell, because I know that all of these industries that make up our reality, which are still negatively charged, all of those industries, on the fringe of all of those industries are organizations like ours and like there are huge amount of organizations supporting starving artists. They never get any recognition. They never get any resources. It's all grassroots. It's a struggle the whole way. But the organizations are there. The people who have wanted to set up and put themselves out there and set up situations to help support, the good on the realm, they all are in existence, are all around the food chain, all around the entertainment industry, all around the education industry. There's so many amazing books on the market, so many amazing teachings coming out and showing you how you could do it differently. There's so much going on. It just never gets any resources, funded, or recognition, right? It never infiltrates the mainstream. But as soon as that fucking charge changes, all of those organizations are going to be resourced and supercharged. They will grow to be. I can see how the reality that we live in will flip over to a positively charged realm, and suddenly, within like years, it'll all be like put back together in a love-based way.
Yeah, man. Well, remember, the protests in Canberra. What was it? Camp Free? I can't remember what it's called. There was a camp though. There was named for a big camp in Australia. 1 million people turned up basically, and obviously no help or funding from any kind of corporation or government. But that camp was up, running, and self-sufficient within a day. Like
Was
they
that
had
the one in
everything
Canberra?
sorted. Yeah, yeah. They had like things like hairdressers. They
Yeah.
had food. They had made sure everyone had accommodation and shower and bath, toiletries and everything they needed. Power was all set up by people. So when people are left to do their own thing and not hindered by the corporation and the parasites, stuff happens really, really fast.
Totally agree, man. I totally agree. And all the solutions are already there. Just the charge has to shift.
We already have all the answers we need. Yeah.
So, fuck yeah. Well, that's positive, isn't it?
Yes.
I hope you're yeah, see, we
Ending.
start on parasites, but we end on a happy ending. Rare for us. Rare. No, it's not. This is all part of like filling in the gaps of what it means to, have the bigger dream. Participate in the bigger dreaming and actually like being sovereign in that and have it as part of your moral code of
and,
conduct.
and that's something you said last night. Are we now dreaming the next world? Because if we take into account what the originals in Australia say, they literally say, we asked Uncle Louis, and he said, yeah, we got together and we dreamed this reality. We dreamed this experience. Is that what's happening now? Are the people because the person with the people with the biggest dream win, right? Is
That's
it the
right.
people that have got the highest, whatever we want to call it, vibration, moral code, energy, light? Are they the ones that are dreaming the new world? Because
And
clearly
look,
can't be the other lower people, right? Because then we just repeat it. So where
you've
are
got to
you?
have you've got to have your
Come and dream
imaginations.
with us.
You have to have your imaginations up and running. Big part of this, big part of this. It has to be a big part of which I would recommend from here on in. You have to do, if anything else with your health and your imagination and your mental state of mind, you've got to do parasite cleanse over and over again. We are going to start bringing this into our routines very strongly. We're gonna fix the gut biome. All of us are fucked with our gut biome. You got to learn about the gut biome. We got to fix that damn thing, which
Yep.
probably for most of us means getting rid of all wheat, which is why carnivore works. But carnivore's so hard because it's so boring and like doesn't take into like the thing with carnivore that I've discovered and you've discovered is that it doesn't take into account like the geographic location of you. It doesn't take into account whether or not you're living by the sea or you're in a hot place or a cold place or all these variations that means that you're not like fully living in harmony with your environment. Like what I should be eating, what a healthy diet looks like for me in the space that we live versus one who's in, England. It has to be really different. It just does because, one's really cold with no sunlight, one's really hot with lots and lots of sunlight. One grows different vegetables. So anyway, I'm no expert on it, but all I'm saying is from here on in, fix that gut biome because that's influencing your thoughts. influencing dramatically your ability to dream and use your imagination and use your creativity and and yeah, like get on top of parasite cleanses as much as you
Parasites,
can. Yeah, it's all
I've got
about
three now in the last couple of months, and they're best to do on full moons.
yeah, right.
That's certainly when the parasites are sort of up and feeding or whatever the most vulnerable, which is interesting, right? Because we've got lunatics, right, who go crazy on a full moon when all the parasites start going crazy inside them.
Yeah.
So I eat lots of kimchi and sauerkraut, like fermented foods. This
Blech.
kind of stuff are very good.
I've got to
Um,
try to love them.
but we were talking to Cassie last night, and she, this is how a lot of people get onto carnivore is what you do is you take everything out of your diet and you just start with something simple, right? Like broth or something, and then do that for a week and then start adding things and see how you go with them, right? But definitely stay off any processed foods, processed carbs. It's the worst stuff for you,
And
processed
it
sugar.
really hard to do.
Yeah, well,
Basically, you've got to
everywhere and
yeah, you
everything. I mean, it's even in like soy sauce and stuff. It's
yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if you buy a fresh salad, it's in that. Like, it's hard to do. It's like it's not an easy task, but none of this is meant to be easy. Point is, do your freaking best, whatever. It's decide on your moral code. I know for sure I am gonna purge parasitic energy in my body. Luckily, my imagination hasn't been affected at all, so that's a good sign. But like I've put on weight in the last couple of years, and I haven't been able to get rid of it. I would say for me personally, that would be leaky gut and stuff to do with wheat. I would say that's almost certain. So that'll
Mm,
be my next experiment. But yeah,
yeah.
we're participating in a new dream here, everyone, and it's not going to take long before the energies you're going to see evidence of them flowing in support of what you would think naturally would be a good world to live in. Yeah.
Mm,
So I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm excited,
I'm
man.
excited.
You're
And
excited.
is that what the Mandela effect is? Are these little, showing us that we're starting to move already? Maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode. That's
Ah, the
another
Mandela effect. Isn't it interesting? Maybe that's to do with sort of like a bit of a jar in the program, the veil, a jar in the hypnotic
exactly. Maybe
programming.
it's the program dropping,
So maybe
right? Us
those who
starting to
have
see through it. So maybe the Mandela effects are actually the truth, and what we remember as the truth is the program. Could be
yeah,
the
I'm
other two, right?
that would make sense because I would say that the majority of people who are even conscious of the Mandela effect and have experienced the Mandela effect and would be on the side of the Mandela effect, as in that's what happened, not what our books here tell us. I would say those beings are already consciously participating in the unveiling, and it's all of our community, it's all of our broad and
Well, that's the other thing, right? Yeah, like you talk to Mandela effect about Mandela effect to a normie, and they think you're crazy. They don't know anything about it. So it's all
yeah.
us out on the fringe who are working on ourselves and all this kind of stuff who know about it and who see it. So, but it's interesting, right? We can look at everything from both angles, and we should more than one perspective, or else you're being told something.
All right. Well, look, I feel fulfilled. You feel fulfilled. Anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Autodidactic?
No, I think that was good. Just have fun, be good humans, leave us comments,
Yep.
and and most of all, I think just put your energy into what you want. I've
And
said before, don't focus on the crap and all this is going on. And this is even though we've mentioned a few things to be wary of them. Be aware, but don't be scared. Check your food, but don't start yelling and screaming that the world's against you if you find something bad in there. Just buy something else.
oh, you're so nice. I was
No,
about to
but this
say the
is the
complete
internal
opposite.
thing. Uh, like this is to do with yourself. Like it's to do with like more like basically everything's our fault is what it comes down to, right? And that so that takes it both ways. What we believe, and what we stand up for, and that it's what we put up with. It's all our fault, So as far and don't focus on the bad that's going on if you want to create the good.
Yeah. I mean,
Understand it's there, but don't put your focus into it. Is
it's
my opinion.
yeah. I mean, that's interesting, like because I'm sort of like was about to say, don't expect everyone who is positively charged to act nice and good and gentle and forgiving. Don't expect that of us. Don't expect that of me. Like that is not me showing up in my authentic self. Like I think when you feel the charge flowing through you and your charge is being activated for the first time in your whole lifetime, you're going to have a roar in your belly. And
Yeah, yeah,
injustice
yeah.
and fucking, non-truths and breaking your moral code and breaking the word that you have shaken your hand on, that's going to come with a sword.
I agree totally. Like, yeah, if you're really pissed off about something, do something about it. Get out there and do something. Don't just, hold in, oh, this sucks, this world's terrible, we're in a prison planet, oh my God. If you're so inclined or so called to, then do something about the things but we can't fix everything. So we've got to pick our battles, right? It's just but it's this whole thing of there's so much negative stuff out there at the moment. It's all put out there to grab our attention, to make us focus on it. And so if we're focusing on, oh my God, what are they doing now? Oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're going to crash the economy. Oh, look at the tax. Oh, they're starving everyone out. Then we're not focused on creating the new world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
You know
I'm
what I
still
mean?
going to have a sword.
Oh, definitely have a sword, but pick a
Yeah.
battle. You can only fight one battle, right? So instead of complaining about things, go and do something to change them. And the things that you can't, don't complain about. Don't get them out of your reality. That's someone else's job.
Yeah. 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 Fair. Fair. All right then. Legends. All right.
That's
All
a
right.
positive end. I hope it was.
All right. So that's us for this podcast. It's been fun to be back, and we will try to be more regular from here on in. By the way, our trip to
Roughage, like wheat.
yeah, eating roughage. Our trip to Bosnia, Croatia, and Sarajevo, and all the places we visited, was fantastic. The group that we went with was just so
Amazing.
friggin' amazing. I want
Yeah.
to call you out and say hello, everyone. Like, oh my God, what an amazing time we had. You guys just blew our minds, and like far out. How cool are how cool are our friends? Like they're just
Yeah.
legends unto themselves in every direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
There were just amazing people there. Had great fun. It was very successful, and yeah, it was awesome. So if you're watching and you were there, leave us a hello in the
Oh, we miss you guys. We miss you guys. It's a very bonding experience to spend 3-4 weeks with a group, all on the same vibe and same consciousness. And it's just, yeah, it's a high impact. You really do get into each other's hearts and consciousnesses. And yeah, I miss you guys. And I've loved, actually, it was such a profound experience to be overseas on a Tartarian adventure and to be with our community. And it was really our honor to participate. I mean, fucking excellent. Like, we'll be doing that again for sure. For sure.
For
Yep.
sure. We will definitely be doing that again. Going to hang out at the Bosnian Pyramid.
And the three talks we did in Bosnia, I'll put up on my channel tonight. Campbell's got them on his already. But they were fun,
Well,
man.
don't put up the middle one.
Oh,
That's on the
yes.
channel been blocked for like 10 days.
I said too
Don't
many
put that
J words. Too many J words, man. Yeah,
J
that's right.
word.
Campbell got banned for 10
Oh, and
days.
also the F words, the
Yeah.
animal people.
I
Yeah.
I just said too many things that I wasn't allowed to, as denoted by
Quite
the
a read.
negatively charged realm around us.
If you haven't seen it, go and have a watch.
But for everyone who joined us on that trip, like fucking excellent. You're all excellent. And like I hope that we're going to see you in the ones here in Australia. We've got our Gosford trip coming up, which we will make an announcement on next week. That's going to be sort of like in the month of August somewhere. And we're very excited to go and finally, as a group, explore the Gosford glyphs. We just reckon that it's in our backyard, and we should definitely go and check it out as a group before it gets destroyed once and for all. We will see if Evan and Stephen Strong are around, that we could like convince them to come and do a talk with us and hang. Like, that would be excellent. Of course, we'll
Yep.
get Dale in on the action. He's in Thailand, I think, at this moment in
He
time.
is, man. He's back at the Muay Thai Training Academy, looking very buff.
That's right. That's right. And for all of you from the trip who aren't in Australia, we will maybe consider this time round, which we've never done before because we just never done it before, to do a live feed from the event, just so we can have you with us because we miss you.
Yes, well, there you go. Maybe a live feed. Cool.
Is it
All right.
possible? I can't see why it wouldn't be possible.
It's possible for
That
sure.
all feels easy to me today. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
All right, that's it. Tartaria Australia signing off for our first podcast in June of 2024.
Okay. Yes, but we'll
All
be
right.
back soon.
All right. Love you guys. Best
Stay
week
awesome.
ever.
Yes. Bye.